This being the time and place of the regular scheduled November 19th Planning Commission meeting, I'd like to call us to order. Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Here.
Gordon.
Here.
Tate.
Here.
Wade.
Here.
Wynn. Temple.
Here.
Burrows. Mike. Patrick. Ross.
Okay, I'd like to correct that. The win is not, should be on that.
Great
We do have a quorum. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the October meeting? If not, do I have a motion and a second? Motion approved. Motion by Mr. Temple.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gordon. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
And the minutes are approved. Okay, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Planning Commission members and give a brief description of what we do and how this meeting is conducted. The commission has 9 members. 8 of us are volunteers appointed by the mayor for a 6-year term. We also have 1 member from the city council. My name is Kent Lawrence. Our vice chair is Gary Gordon, and our secretary is Larry Way. Other members are Francis Tate, Myrna Burrows, who is not with us today. Eddie Pike is also not with us, and Forrest Temple. Our new member is Ross Terry. Ross, this is his first meeting. Ross is a graduate of UNA. His wife is a school teacher. He has 2 daughters, and he loves to share his tea set with his daughters. Ross is replacing Joseph Wynn. Joseph was a member of the Planning Commission for many years and a great member. He always had very insightful input to the commission. And on behalf of the Planning Department and the whole commission, I want to thank Joseph for his service to the city. So how this meeting runs, members of the public seeking to get an item considered by the Planning Commission must send an application to the Planning Department not less than 21 days prior to this meeting. Unless otherwise specified, all applications for development approvals are the result of submittals by a private citizen seeking some change to their own property. In making our decision, a primary tool used by the Planning Commission is the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan. This is a general community plan for the city of Decatur. It was adopted through a public process to formalize a vision for the future of the community that represents the interest and will of most Decatur residents. In many of these cases, the Planning Commission does not have the final say. Zonings, annexations, vacations, sidewalk cafe license, and some resolutions all require additional approval by the City Council before they become official. In these cases, the role of the Planning Commission is to advise the Council on those requests. The first part of today's meeting is a public hearing. Each item will be read separately and voted on after comments and discussion. If you wish to comment on an item, we ask you come forward, state your name and whether you're a citizen of Decatur, then make your comments. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and there will be a timer to cut you off in the 3 minutes. So if you hear the timer, please, finish up your comments at that point. In the public hearing today, what we do have is a preliminary plat. This is the second step of the subdivision process, and it has construction plans included, which show street placement, lots, lot sizes, those type things. Okay, Mr. Williams, if you would read the first case, please, sir.
Hello, I'm Tommy Williams with the Planning Department, and the first thing we have is Foxwood Addition 5A and 5B. The current zone is R3 single family, and the applicant is Purewright McAnally for Arthur Stieber. The location is west of Arapahoe and north of Kiowa Trail, and their request is to construct 62 residential parcels. The proposed land use is residential, and One Decatur future land use is low residential. One Decatur street typology is Kiowa and Arapahoe Trail are local streets, and conditions to be met are: number 1, please add site data. Number 2, please add temporary turnaround. Number 3, please add the legal description. Point of information, number 1, is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. Also, I would like to point out that the applicant is here, and they would like to say some words.
Okay.
Yes, Nathan Tomberlin, Pure McAnally, 310 8th Avenue, Decatur, Alabama. This is the 5th edition of the Foxwood development, and essentially these lots are being developed for potential home builders. This is the last edition for the master plan that was approved. And it's actually located in 2 separate areas of the subdivision, the lower southwest corner and the northeast corner. As far as the development goes, I know the developer is building the lots for a potential buyer to come in and build the homes. The home builders are 2 well-known home builders that are currently doing development in our area. And I know our client is here today and can share a little bit about the home builders and what the plans are for the lots.
Good afternoon, Steve Lear. I'm the attorney for the developer, Foxwood Farms. As Mr. Tomlin said, currently the existing first phase of lots that were sold to Prominence Homes have not been completed, and Prominence is in the process of selling its lot position to either D.R. Horton or Century Homes. So that also includes basically selling off the rest of the additional lots in phase 1 that have not been built on and the existing homes that are partially under construction. So they have a contract right now which really can't be changed or modified by the developer. We're just developing the lots, and they have a contract to buy all the lots. So we can't unilaterally change them. They have to negotiate the terms with whomever they want to sell that position to, with regard to the future phase, the existing phase, and the phase that's under construction right now. So that's all I can tell you as of right now. And I don't know when they're going to get their contract negotiated, but it's supposed to be in the next 30 to 60 days.
Okay, so you're talking about just those first 35 lots?
I'm talking about the rest of the subdivision. There's also the second phase that's almost complete. The roads have been paved. Those lots are supposedly being flipped basically by Prominence Homes to one of these other builders. They want the whole subdivision, is basically what I'm trying to say. So that Prominence Homes will be out of the subdivision altogether.
So you're saying that one of these 2 contractors are going to buy
all the lots, yes.
In phase 4 in this proposed phase?
Correct. That's correct. They're going to buy out every single lot in Prominence Homes' position to buy those other lots when phase 5, addition 5, when constructed.
Do you have any information on what type houses they intend to build or anything like
Cannot tell you. I don't know. We're not dealing with Prominence, with D.R. Horton or Century Homes. We can only deal with Prominence Homes because they have the contract rights. And it's not our position to tell them what homes they can or cannot build. As long as I guess they follow the building codes and the zoning ordinance, that's all they can do.
There's no timeline on the contract?
Which contract?
With Prominence?
Well, we got to develop the lots first. I mean, this next phase just hasn't been completed yet because we're waiting on Joe Wheeler Electric to complete running their services on half of the subdivision that's actually in the county. Well, no, it's part of their service area. Decatur Utilities has already done their work, and the city engineers already signed off on it. We just can't get the plat recorded because we're waiting on Joe Wheeler to finish its work. So until we get the work done, we can't even get the plat recorded. We can't sell the lots to anybody.
You're speaking of phase 4 and 5.
Well, phase 4 is under construction right now. Phase 5 would be the same thing. Phase 5 would both also, again, be in Joe Wheeler's and Decatur Utilities service areas. Because the northeast corner is Joe Wheeler, and the southwest corner is Decatur Utilities. Kind of the same situation, but they could be on parallel tracks. Any other questions?
So this whole subdivision, when we're talking about the whole thing, it's gonna be it's designed and the lots are gonna be sold and there's gonna be individual homes for sale in this.
That's up to D.R. Horton or Century Homes. It's not up to us. We're just the developer. We can't control what the home builder does or doesn't do.
But they're in the business to build homes and sell homes.
They do whatever they feel the market requires. They build, I mean, I know they're both up here building homes right now. I'm sure they're doing retail sales. But I have not talked, like I said, I haven't spoken to either one of them, and it's not my place to get in the middle of those negotiations. I can't legally. We can't do that.
We just have authority for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're zoned for single-family dwellings.
Right. And we've gone through this before on the addition, I guess, addition 3 and addition 4 is the same thing. Doing the same thing for additions 5A and 5B. It's just completing out the subdivision is all it is.
Okay, I'm going to bring up the build to rent question then.
Okay.
Is that the intent, or do you know?
I do not know. I've not, like I said, I do not. I have no discussions whatsoever with Horton or Century. But I do know this issue's come up before, and I do have over a year ago. This was resolved with the city because the city attorney sent me a letter saying that they couldn't restrict anything built in the subdivision based on anything that any home builder wanted to do. It's been grandfathered in. I've got the letter. If you can ask the city council if you need a copy of it. I didn't know this was going to be an issue again. So
it's my understanding the first 35 lots were covered on that, but the rest of the development is not.
no, that's not correct. The whole development is covered by that. Could not put, you can't, it's unconstitutional. That's what the city council and I discussed. You can't restrict whatever any home builder who buys a lot can do with his lot. It's not constitutional. That's why they didn't impose a moratorium on our subdivision. If you propose it and it gets passed in the future, if somebody wants to challenge it at that time, that's fine. But once the development's been approved, you can't just impose a moratorium on some property owner's lots like that. And that's the reason why we got the letter.
Well, is that not in moratorium, not in the package of laws? Am I wrong?
January 1st.
January 1st.
So I'm going to ask legal's opinion. Where are we on that?
All right, yes, I'm the one that wrote the letter, okay? Mr. Leader knows that. But that was based on facts that you provided back then. Things have changed since then, I believe, based on what you're telling me now. So we'll have to evaluate it further.
Nothing's changed and there's no facts that have changed.
You and I are just going to have to disagree.
Well, that's okay. If you want to try to impose a moratorium and you get sued, you'll have to pay our legal fees too. That's okay. I mean, I don't care. We're just here to get a preliminary approval done.
All I'm sharing with you, so you will know, what you described back then may or may not be what we have now. So we don't have to evaluate it as we go.
Well, then explain to everybody in this room what it was that's different now than it was back then.
I'll ask the question.
You asked. No, I want to hear what council's. He made a statement. I want to hear what his response is. He's challenged what I said. I want to challenge what he's just said.
Sir, I did not challenge what you said. I told you
What are the facts that are different?
the facts are now different.
What are they?
I don't know because you won't share, because you can't share, okay?
Well, no. The whole point is the same thing is I'm the developer's attorney who develops the lots, who cannot control what the home builder does with the lots.
And y'all can work that out somewhere outside of this meeting.
But all I'm sharing with you is the facts, and I base that decision on may or may not have changed based on what he's sharing today.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
I want everybody to know that, so.
And I will state for the record that nothing has changed. It's the same facts. Currently, Prominence Homes has a contract for the lots like they did a year ago. Nothing's changed. If they sell the contract in their position, then it's a different home builder. But right now, nothing's changed. So there's nothing else to discuss. And he can go back and look at his notes too, but that's the fact. So nothing has changed. Yeah. What other questions do you have?
That's all I have, sir.
Okay.
Okay, anyone from the public would like to speak to this request? Okay, if you'll come forward and state your name and whether you're a citizen of Decatur.
Oh, put my name down here. As I'm looking at this,
Okay, I'm sorry, if you'll state your name.
Oh, my name is Star
Are you a
Farish.
citizen of the city?
huh?
Or do you live in the city?
Yes,
Okay. Your name is?
Star Farish.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking at this, and in this subdivision, it looks like we're one of the biggest cul-de-sacs. I think it's kind of dangerous to just build all these homes, and we only have one way in and one way out. Shouldn't there be some type of measurement that we could have another way, at least out of here?
Yeah, all of that was discussed in the original laydown plat of this subdivision. And engineering informed us that the roads met the requirements for this. We do plan for a connection if the rest of this between this development and Ben Pool ever develops, that there would be a road through there.
Okay.
But that discussion was held and
I wasn't aware of that
discussed
discussion.
greatly in the very first layout plat.
I wasn't here for that. Okay.
Okay? Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Faye Anderson. I am a citizen, and I live on Kiowa Trail. I just need some clarification. Most of us in Foxwood on Kiowa and Arapahoe thought that bill to rent only applied to those first few homes. Much has already been discussed, not to this entire subdivision. We are living with a disaster. If you've not been there, I suggest everyone take a little trip. It is an unsightly mess in our front entrance, in our backyards. It's terrible. I don't think this is what Decatur wants or needs. And if another developer can come in and not only expand from those original 35, whatever it was, lots, and walk away and leave unfinished homes, mud, weeds, it's terrible. It's depressing. But if somebody can come into that whole subdivision and do what they want, it's going to be a slum. And I ask you to please think about those of us that live here. This gentleman talks about the rights of a homeowner. I would think we have some. I would like to know what my rights are. Thank you.
And I'd like to state that I drive this neighborhood weekly, so I do know what it looks like. Yes, ma'am.
I think I'm confused.
First, if you'll state your name
I will.
and whether
I'm
you're a
sorry.
citizen.
Sandra Lowry, and yes, I'm a citizen.
Thank you.
I think I'm confused about the exit entrance thing that Star brought up. You said yes, and I was at one of the preceding meetings when we were first discussing the small area, and I did not realize until the gentleman pointed out that Providence is the whole thing. It isn't just what they've started. It is the whole thing, except apparently these two sections that you're involved with. Is that what you were talking about?
I'm sorry, ma'am. You
I'm
have to
sorry.
address us. You can't address them.
That was the question. Today we are discussing B and C. Is that right? Okay. Not all these
All the rest of it has already
been
platted.
discussed. And you said if it finally connects when someone can buy the property from the Pool cousin who now owns it that backs up to Pool Road, Ben Pool Road, that there will be another way in and out. Maybe, sort of.
If you, it's not on this map, but in this back corner, there's a street stubbed out that goes straight to the north. So that if that does develop, there's a way to connect this back to Ben Pool. It won't connect unless somebody comes in and develops that piece of property and puts that street through it.
So the extra entrance exit in case of any emergency that occurs is not
It's not there.
not there,
Right.
and nobody plans for it to be there? You would like it to be there?
Right, but there's no way for it to be there. It never was there in the beginning. It's always just been one.
It's always been just one way in and out in case
We
of...
have several neighborhoods through the city that are that way.
Isn't that not a rather dangerous
Well,
situation?
our new zoning ordinance that we will be adopting in a few months has requirements on that, but our current does not.
Okay, when it has the requirements on it, will that apply to this?
No, ma'am, it would only apply.
This is
to-
all grandfathered, so you got
It's
one
already
way.
built. That's right, it's already built.
Well, some of it's sort of built. Does anybody besides me see that as a dangerous situation? Fire, tornado, not necessarily flood, although some of the area is close to the floodplain.
Yes. And I don't dispute that, but we don't have any requirements for it this time. The city doesn't require that.
3 minutes.
Thank you.
7:06.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. You can come on up once she's filling that out. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay.
I'm Nita Woodson, and I am a resident of Decatur City. I live in Crown Point subdivision. I am a relatively recent widow. I moved to Crown Point because of the safety of that neighborhood. I don't have any worries. There are single women on either side of me, across the street from me, down the street from me. It's a beautiful place, and I don't want to feel unsafe where I purchased this home. I bought it for those reasons, and I feel like Decatur has a trust issue right now. And I would love for the citizens to be able to trust Decatur and what you're supposed to do for your citizens. And right now, I think there's a lot of people that feel like they can't trust you. So I would love for this plat to be reevaluated because, as the First Lady spoke, it does look like it could become a slum. The lots are very narrow. They're going to be crammed up against my backyard. I got the letter. I'm an adjoining property owner, and I would like to see this reevaluated when you get a planning director and just see if we can make this. It is a beautiful area of Decatur. I hate to see it messed up. I mean, we need some good news, and I would like for you guys to help that happen.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
All I've got is my ticket to the show here, so.
How much did it cost you?
But that will do. What's the curved line?
Sir, I'm sorry. State your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm Jim Raines.
Will you pull that microphone up? There you go.
Is that it?
I think so. That's
Okay.
as high as it goes, so it'll have to be it.
People usually don't complain about my voice too much.
Okay, I'm sorry, your name
I'm Jim
is?
Raines, R-A-I-N-E-S.
Okay.
And
are
I
you a
live
citizen?
just across the
Okay,
street
good.
from from that lower left-hand corner there.
Okay.
And I have two things that I'm concerned about. One is that tie-in to Ben Pool Road. I think it ought to be done now because we really are getting crowded out there. When people start moving in, that road, Burning Tree Drive, wasn't designed for that kind of traffic. And it's going to be a mess. But the bigger mess is what they've set up for the drainage pond that they've got there. They've got a hold-up pond with, it looks like an 18-inch pipe. I got pictures, but unfortunately they're on my camera, on my cell phone. And that drainage area shoots directly down to the lower left-hand corner of the drawing, which is right here. And from that point down to Flint Creek, there is a 1-foot elevation change. We already have borderline flooding in the area now. And that's without all of this other water suddenly being diverted down and put on top of that. Plus that ditch is totally overgrown and just does not drain. The only solution ultimately is going to be to put a drainage pipe all the way down to keep it from silting in and the jungle from trying to take over back in there. But it is a problem that's going to have to be handled, and my next door neighbor, who is not here tonight, has always said he only wanted to answer to one question: who did his lawyer get in contact with when his house floods for the first time? Because it's going to happen. I've been there for almost 40 years, and I've seen a lot of weather, and we've had a lot of heavy rain in that area. Just everybody crosses their fingers that lives along that little creek and just hopes that it doesn't get up into their house. And I think it'd be better to take care of it on the front end than on the back end.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, who wants to talk about the drainage? And
Well, first thing said about being overgrown, I'll go work
we're
with
going
them.
to get you to come up here.
Sorry.
Go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
I'm Carl Pruitt. I'm the city engineer. As far as this first part about being overgrown, I'll get a work order put in for our guys to check out that ditch line, and we can take it as far as the city limits goes, but once it goes into the county, that's outside of our jurisdiction. We can't do much about it. I do know in that lower left corner, there's a detention pond built, and yes, that pipe is small to try to help back up water into that pond to reduce the rate of flow into the existing ditch. But again, if it's stopped up due to growth, I can work on that quickly.
Okay, so does this design put more or less water into that ditch?
It reduces the flow coming out of there prior to being developed to after it's developed, yes.
Okay, so you're saying that this development will put less water immediately on the adjoining property?
Correct.
Could you have him explain that?
Sure.
Yes. As water comes downhill and goes into the pond, we have a pipe that restricts the flow that comes out, so it backs the water up in the pond. So the rate of the flow leaving the pond is less than what was leaving the property prior to the development. So we're retaining the water back and releasing it at a slower rate. That's how that works.
Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you, but that does answer the question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carl. Who would like to go next? Yes, sir.
I sure will. Again, I'm Jim Walter. I live on Kiowa Drive in Foxwood. I'm not quite sure that I'm hard of hearing. I can't hardly hear what we're talking about back there, but what are we approving with this plat map? What are we approving here?
Okay, in the top right corner and the bottom left corner are the two that we're approving.
Yes, sir, addition 5.
Addition 5, and there's 2 parts to it.
Right.
This, can you throw that other one up now? Okay, so that is what's going in the back right corner. So it's a total of 62 lots.
Yes, sir. That's already platted. 2 years ago, we platted that.
That's right. 2 years ago, we did what's called a layout plat.
That's correct.
That's exactly right. And this is the preliminary plat that's following that same original layout plat.
Same thing.
Same thing.
The only question that I have is the one we talked about already, and that would be addition 5A, which a portion of that is within the floodplain. Is that a concern for us?
Not really. I mean, if somebody buys a lot that's in a floodplain, they would have to have flood insurance.
Okay.
You can't build in a floodway, but a floodplain you can.
Okay. And they can still be insured with flood insurance?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And we've already talked about enter and exit from the longest cul-de-sac in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. I actually looked that up, and it's not the longest cul-de-sac in the state of Alabama.
Really? Who is?
Athens.
Really?
Cambridge.
Oh, yeah, now that all those other houses are built back there.
All right, who would like to go next? Come on, Aaron.
Good afternoon. I'm Erin Cossey. I'm an Decatur resident. I just want to bring to the attention that we all received certified letters about this platting coming to the meeting today over the weekend. I believe they were possibly sent out at the beginning of the month, but no one in Crown Point nor in Foxwood and Miss Brenda, who lives on Indian Hills, who has adjacent property, were notified of this meeting until yesterday. I am asking you guys to please make a motion to table this for at least a month so we can review all of this as a community. We have not had time to really even get any thoughts together. We were asked in the letter to come with concerns, and we have not had time to even evaluate concerns. And I'm just asking that you would give us just a little bit of time.
Okay.
So, thank you.
I'm going to ask, is that all you have?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Okay. I'm going to ask legal to come and explain the procedure. I'm sorry, go ahead, Connie.
I want to explain the notification process.
Okay.
The letters were sent out November 8th. You have.
Hold on a minute, because they're going to want you to get on the microphone.
The letters were sent out November 8th, certified letters. And once the post office get them, they're out of the city hands. I can't control how long it takes the post office to get them to them. I hate that they, I did get a call that someone said that they did get their letter today or yesterday, but they were sent out November 8th, and we are allotted 5 days, and we sent them out 11 days before, so.
So it took the Postal Service over 10 days to bring them out. And you did put signs up. Would you go ahead and talk about where you put the signs?
Yes, we put up signs as well because of this kind of situation. If the letters don't get you in time, hopefully you're able to see the signs. We put them on the Arapahoe Trail and Kiowa Trail at the beginning of the development.
Okay, when did you put those down?
We put those up, I can't think of a particular date, but before the letters went out. So before November 8th.
But we didn't have one in the Crown Point subdivision.
No, we did not, because the development was not in Crown Point.
Okay.
The developments, excuse me? Yes, the development was not in Crown Point. We're going to put the signs where the development is happening.
Okay. And why don't you go ahead and state what our requirements are for notification?
Notification for a preliminary plat is just the adjacent property owners. So we only supposed to do with state code is adjacent property owners. We do more than that. We do 500 feet because I believe notification is very important. So I do make sure we do more than what's the state dictate, and we also reached out to Huntsville. They still do adjacent as well. So we're doing more than the surrounding area, and we're doing more than the state requires.
And we sent one to every residence in Foxwood and Crown.
Anybody and we send them to anybody who's within 500 feet, regardless of what subdivision.
Okay, 500 feet.
500 feet.
Okay, so not everyone in Crown Point got one.
So probably not everyone in Crown. If you're within 500 feet, you did not receive one.
Okay.
So is that our requirement, Tommy? Is that a state requirement?
That is not a state requirement. State requirement is just adjacent.
Just adjacent?
We just do more because notification is very important. The public deserves to know what's going on in their surrounding area. So we do more because of that.
We exceeded the requirement.
We exceeded the requirements for the state, and we exceed the requirements for surrounding cities.
I have a question. Can I come back?
Do you want to ask a question before the, okay, come on.
I thought the developer, I'm Faye Anderson, I thought the developer was going to be here, but it's my understanding the developer is going to be somebody else, correct?
Well, the developer is represented, the developer of the lots and the subdivision.
The lots, but not of the homes.
Not the builder.
Right.
The builder's not here.
Okay, because we were told early on that the houses would be comparable to what's there. Prominence has built cheap houses, as anyone that's been there knows, that are not anywhere near comparable to what's there. When will we get a chance to speak to that, or will we?
There's really not a process for that in any subdivision anywhere, other than if you have a HOA that has a plan review.
And there's no requirement for this builder to have an HOA.
No, and the city does not control HOAs.
Yes, I've been told that numerous times. How does anyone think they're going to sell homes with that disaster right at the beginning? That doesn't make sense to me. It seems like there's going to be nothing but another disaster. Can't you take that into consideration and hold off on that until something is taken care of with that mess in the front? No?
Because that belongs to Providence. He's going to sell it to someone else.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, now will legal address the question for table?
I'm sorry. I would just like to comment on the notification process.
Okay.
Michael Farrar, yes. I moved to Foxwood in May of this year, and I have not received anything in the mail. I don't know if that's because I'm a new resident or not, but I have not received anything. In regard to the signage, you know, the sign's kind of at the dead end of Arapahoe and then at the dead end of Kiowa, so it's not somewhere prominent for people to see. I mean, it's not on a normal path that you would take for these other folks. So that's all I wanted to say.
I will state that the signage is something that the planning department, this is the first time they've done it in quite a while, and they're trying to do a much better job with it. I think he has plans for a different sign, and I think he's learning from this today, putting more signs in better, more conspicuous.
Conspicuous.
There you go. Places. But he's seen the sign. Yeah.
Correct. Only because I'm in Foxwood itself, so I see it as I'm headed out and turning left. The other people that are talking about Crown Point and stuff would never see that. Or other people in Burning Tree would not.
Crown Point is not part of this development, that's why they didn't put it there.
Burning Tree is affected.
Right. But maybe since we notified in Crown Point, that maybe next time we should put a sign in that subdivision. Anywhere we notify, maybe we should put a sign too. That's, you know, he's doing more than what's required, and he really is trying to do a better job of notifying.
Again, back to the woman talking about not having notice.
Right.
I have not received notice in the mail It's a sign that I wouldn't see unless I was just driving right to the end of that subdivision. Looking at that new work is actually why I saw the sign.
And
I can't control USCS, but I can try to send it last time I was listening.
It's really giving you information. It's not.
You know, used to the planning department actually went out and hung the notification on people's houses. And nobody liked that because we put them on the front door and everybody uses their garage door. So they'd come and say, well, we never saw the notification. So we said, okay, we'll start sending certified mail. That way we know people got it. But, you know, at the time, we didn't think our postal service would be so slow. So we really are trying to do a better job of notifying, and we're trying stuff. Obviously, we haven't got there yet, but we are trying. Thank you, Tom.
Just say that you're doing a great job, because I sent out a notice in February, and I got a return last week, and it's November. So you're doing great. But I need to ask you something. Is it any way that we could enforce them to clean up the area?
Okay. Let's hold that until we get to our questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Legal want to explain the request for table and what that procedure looks like for us.
Okay. And in plat approval.
I have to tell everybody who you are.
Oh, sorry. Ruth Priest, Assistant City Attorney. And in plat approvals.
Can you?
She's Ruth Priest. She's the assistant.
I can talk very loud if you need me to, but I don't want to deaden the microphone. I'm very loud normally. Everyone who knows me knows I'm loud. Plat approval is under state statutes. And I think that's where there's a lot that's getting missed because some of this is outside control of the city. This is set down from the state statute. And in 115232, plat approval, the commission shall approve or disapprove a plat within 30 days after the submission thereof to it. Otherwise, the plat shall be deemed to have been approved. However, the applicant for the Municipal Planning Commission's approval can waive this requirement and consent to an extension of such period. So if you want to table this, the applicant has to be willing to waive that 30-day time frame. So this has to be decided today, or the applicant for the plat has to be willing to waive that 30-day requirement, or it's deemed approved. If they do nothing today and table it 30 days from the date that it was submitted, it's deemed approved. So that's the legality, and that's the state statute. That's not city ordinance.
So basically, you're saying if we table it today, it automatically approves in 30 days from the submission, not from today.
Correct, from the submission.
And what date is that? November 4th.
Did you
But
want to add
December
something to
4th,
that?
it would be automatically approved.
Right. And if the commission does choose to disapprove it, you have to give the reason in the minutes. Generally, it can only be for anything in violation of an ordinance or one of our subdivision regulations or the statute. Generally, case law, and these are cases that have gone up on appeal. Just having a controversy is an invalid reason, or having no reason at all is invalid, and it's deemed as an approval. So it has to be justifiable. It has to be something that's, against one of the ordinances, one of the subdivision regulations. There are several reasons why, but it has to be documented in the minutes as well, so that if it goes on appeal, they have an understanding of why it was disapproved.
So you're saying if we disapprove it without a reason, it's approved?
Correct.
Okay. And the reason has to be a violation of any of our subdivision statutes?
Well, generally, for a plat to be disapproved, because this is private property and someone who's wanting to develop private property. This isn't the city doing something. This is an individual who wants to build. It's no different than, anyone. It's not the same situation, and I think that gets lost sometimes, that the city's not doing this. This is a private entity wanting to build, and I understand there's a lot of issues with that. But that's just a little bit of guidance that this is not the city's ordinance. This is an actual state statute.
And what we're approving by approving this preliminary plat is that the lot sizes meet what the zoning ordinance requires, that the
Correct.
streets are built to city standards, that the drainage is there.
Correct. If there were any issues with that, generally those are brought forward in the TRC. That's what that meeting is for. If there's anything that's in violation, any case law that I've looked at on this particular topic, generally there's been a lack of, there have been issues with the development other than, I guess, the use of it or the size of houses and things like that that are more subjective. They've been objective findings like lack of water pressure. There have been a lot of other issues that have allowed a disapproval because there's generally some type of a violation of another ordinance or another one of the subdivision regulations. I don't know if that's helpful.
Anybody else?
Ken, I just want to confirm that the submission date was October 29th.
Okay.
So 30 days would be from October 29th would be November 28th.
9 days from today.
Correct.
Got more questions here.
Ms. Sal.
You have crickets. My name is Brenda South, and I live on Indian Hills Road. I own the farm adjacent to this property.
Ms. Sal, will you pull that microphone down? There you go. Thank you.
So I have a lot to lose in this matter. It has devalued my property, or that's how I feel, of what I can get for it and the vision that my late husband and I had for developing the property. And I'm just wondering, is it not a good enough reason that we don't know these new builders that will be coming in, that we don't know that they might be putting up all BTR homes? Is that not a good reason enough to table this?
Well, it's outside of the scope of what we are approving. The Planning Commission actually has no regulation over what is built. You know, all we regulate are the lots. Do they meet the zoning requirements? The things I mentioned a while ago. Do the lots meet the size? Are the streets in? Those type of things. What is built, there's nothing.
I understand that,
that's
but
the building code. So as long as they're building to the building code, that's the only thing you can regulate.
well, what I understood was that we were going to like what they were going to build. And that hasn't happened today. Because now they're saying that they want to sell all of this to two different people that are going to come in, and we don't know anything about them. So that needs to be a good enough reason. Thank you.
Okay, you just have another question?
Sort of.
Okay.
Is safety not a good enough reason to table this while you decide whether we're really going to run new roads so we have access for emergency vehicles, emergency whatevers, tornadoes, fires, floods, whatever you want to?
I think safety is, but I'll go back to the issue that we don't have a requirement for more than one entrance to a subdivision now. And it's-
Statewide or just here?
Well, even state code doesn't. You know, it was brought up in the original thing, something about that the state fire code required something which was not true, that the state did not adopt that. The fire department has looked at this plat, and they feel as though that their fire trucks, and the chief is right here, he could answer that question, but they do feel like that their fire trucks can service this development.
Okay. For my clarification, what y'all are discussing today is not all the little lots that have been drawn out, but the two sections,
That's
they
right.
want to put 62 more houses on.
That's correct.
Okay, so we can look at what's Providence that drew that, you don't know.
No.
It's your job to know.
Providence didn't draw this. The company that this man represents developed these lots, and they sold them to Providence. Or they sold 35 of them, and they have a contract for the remainder of them to Providence.
Okay, so today what you're really discussing are the two large sections that they want to put more houses.
That's correct. That's correct. It's a preliminary plat for those two sections. And what we are deemed to do is to make sure that the lot size meet, that they're a minimum of 7,000 square feet, which they are, that the streets and roads are put into city standards and specifications, and that the drainage, retention, and that this development does not cause more water on another property owner.
Or the refuge or whatever.
Well, you can't say on the refuge, anywhere where water can drain to, water's going to go there. But one property owner cannot divert water onto another property owner.
Well, that's what the whole setup got done.
I'm sorry, if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. We can't hear when you're all the way back there.
Well, I'm not the other gentleman, I'm hearing not all that good. The whole thing was.
Well, he already signed in once.
Oh, I did.
Oh, he didn't?
Yeah.
Okay. But while he's doing that, I will state that what we have to base our decision on is what engineers tell us, not what civilians tell us. The engineers, that's their job, is to engineer this, the water flow, the streets and all that. And when they tell us, this body, that they meet the standards, that's what we have to go on.
Okay. Well, the whole thing is, like I said, I'm right down here. I don't have a problem. But this whole area, the entire area drained back toward Flint Creek.
It always has.
Always has. What you're doing now is with the curbing and the way this thing is set up, all the water that used to go back here is going to come down to here. And it's going to create a problem. And this whole area out in here, who's responsible for this? Because you go out there now and there's dirt. Mounds of dirt.
That is the actual retainage area right there, that corner that you're saying, that whole area.
No, this area in here, because you've got dirt piles and it's going to actually be pushing, well, I know they're going to straighten it up sooner or later. Nobody'd buy a house if they did. But I have seen water out there. Back in the 90s, we really had a lot of rain. And houses, water was backing up in this drainage ditch right here. You see, the engineer said, oh, what are we going to do with the water? And I said, oh, there's a drainage ditch right here. So let's just put it over there. But there is 1 foot of elevation drop, and all this water that used to go here is going to come down and go here now. And it's going to be an issue.
Well, yes, if you'll come up and explain.
And then I'll talk louder. Nathan Tomberlin, right, McAnally, 310 8th Avenue, Decatur, Alabama, 35602. All right, so the drainage patterns for the site. The way that the existing topo, this is how we design things. We have existing topography, which is the lay of the land. Which way is the water going off of the hill, right? So we take a look at that. We know water's going this way. There's a little bit of a knob here going this way. There's water draining this way. And he's right. there's water that's coming this way, and we actually have some water that's coming this way. That's the existing drainage patterns for the existing topo. So what we do is we look at where that water is being discharged from the site. And then we look at these areas and we dedicate what we call retention ponds in those areas. So we have a retention pond right here, we have a retention pond right here, and we have a retention pond right here. So the water that's coming off the site is actually routed to the retention pond, and it's detained for a certain amount of time and slowly released. So the quantity of water is actually not increased. It's going through the detention pond and coming out in a control structure, which in this case I believe is an 18-inch pipe that dumps out where the existing pattern is right now. Same thing up here. We have a pond in this area that the water's going to be coming off the site, going into the pond, and then going to discharge through an 18-inch pipe and a control structure. And then also we have another pond, like I said here, which we had existing drainage that was coming off the site. Well, we don't want to increase that discharge from the site, so we route it through a pond. So we don't change the pattern of where the water's going. We intercept where the pattern's going, and then we put a control structure there to reduce the flow from the site. And also too, I did want to. Josiah, can you go back to this slide right here and talk about access?
This one or this one?
This one here. So north is this way. So this is our common area here. So this we did have water coming here, but we're actually putting in a detention pond in this area that's going to be controlling that stormwater and routing it through a stormwater system. So there's no increase in peak flows from the site.
Thank you.
May I address that gentleman?
You have a question? Yes, you can ask your question. You don't have to come back up here on this side.
So you look at first one about where you said that. Is this the beginning of Flint Farms? This area right here?
I think so. Is that correct? It's in
I
there
would
now.
like to know where that drainage is going to go on Flint Farms, because I'm a part owner of Flint Farms. And I don't know that, I've never seen a drainage ditch there. Where does it drain out?
It's going the same place the existing drainage is now.
And where is that?
It discharges to the northwest.
I'm asking you, where to the northwest off of Pool Road is that drainage ditch?
Off of Pool Road, I'd have to look at it, I'm not sure.
But what he's telling you, they surveyed the topo, and where the water was going to begin with, they're still diverting it to that same place. They're just holding it and slowing it down, basically.
This does drain on through my property, and I have been out there when it's raining. I can't attest to the fact that it's up a foot, but I do know it's like a river. And I have checked with the Wildlife Refuge, and they are checking for me as they can on the drainage part. I have crops, and I have only one incident in the last year where the water did get into some of my crops. It did drain, but it's an issue for me. So.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jarvis Adams. I'm a resident of Decatur. I live on Ruby Point Drive. I have a question for the engineer on the drainage, please.
Okay.
You stated that there will be a retaining pond in this area. Is that correct? Where does it discharge to?
I believe there's a ditch heading to the north.
All right, we already have a ditch right here that we have a water problem with that Mr. Pruitt has already addressed for us. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So more water, what's that going to do with the problem we already have?
It's not going to be as much water because it's going to be controlled coming through
Well,
that, just like y'all have
it
it.
doesn't take much water. You know that.
But y'all have the same detention pond, so your downstream neighbors also don't flood. That's what
Well,
creates that.
this pond here, you know the problem with that. You did lower the spillway, is that correct? We haven't seen it to the level yet to where that'll handle it. So if we add more water here, what are we gonna have? We're gonna have flooding in here like we had before.
It'll be lower because it lowered the spillway.
Well, we
The
haven't seen
elevation
that.
won't, again, it won't be the same elevation because the spillway's lower.
Well, it's lowered by a small amount. It wasn't lowered to the fact that, to the point that you and I talked about. They made a small indention in the dike. They did not lower it to any degree. If you want to come back out and look at it, I'll show you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
How you doing?
All right.
I'm about the drainage issue as well. My name is Ernest Downs. I live on Burning Tree at that corner where the water will be flooding. I'm worried about my backyard flooding because I live here, down in this bottom corner. When we get too much rain, that ditch does flood. It floods up in my backyard all around my buildings in the back. Now with this new property being built here and they changed the contour of the land here because they brought in machines to change that contour, all that water is going to be coming rushing down now. And that ditch actually runs off into the woods, doesn't actually have a trough that runs into off the property back there.
Okay, they've stated a couple of times already that there will be less water running into that ditch
I
at one
understand
time than it is now.
And the other thing about the ditch is when they ran the sewer system, they put the sewer head pipes where the cleanouts are down in the middle of that ditch, so that reduced the flow as well.
Did you sign?
Is the sewer in the drainage ditch? Can anybody answer that question?
There was, this is, yeah, it's not the final grade yet, the sewer is installed.
Right, that's what he said, it says in that drainage. So you're saying that drainage ditch is not completed now?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Bottom line is still the question, there will be less water at any one time dumped into that drainage than there is now.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing that there's no further, do we have a motion to recommend approve, or to approve, not recommend?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Wade. Now, any comments or questions from anyone on the commission? Okay.
Is there anything that you can regulate the builder or the developer about keeping the property clean at a certain level?
I'm going to send that question to legal. Did you hear what she said, Mr. Marks?
We can barely hear. The answer is, this is dealing with this particular item. That's not something that's part of this discussion. We're looking into what can be done. It is a very sad situation. Facts have changed in this initial development. I'm not saying that's impacting this decision, but we have a situation out there that is most disappointing. And I think it needs to be addressed, but it's not part of this review. Okay?
But I think what Ms. Tate is asking in this one, is there anything the city can do to ensure that what happened in that one doesn't happen in this one? Is that correct? Is that what you're asking?
And can you do something about this one by cleaning it up?
Well, let me touch on that. Carlton McMaster, City Council District 3. I represent this area, and I want to echo the majority of what everybody says. I'm going to address you guys because I know that's how it has to be done, but they're frustrated. I don't blame them. They're mad. I don't blame them. We never, ever saw this. And needless to say, when this happened, and we have this development that begins and it stops, And Ms. Anderson's 100% right, it's an eyesore. So what the city has done is at the moment all we can. We've gone out there, we've cleaned it up, we've taken dumpsters, we've tried our best to clean it up. The building permits have expired. The houses that have been started are in disrepair. We are looking into what we can do about that. And I know what you guys are voting on with this right here is a plat approval. You have nothing to do over the size of the houses, and it's just frustrating. So it ultimately falls on the city and community development to make sure this doesn't happen, and that's something we're striving for with this. This is just something, Herman, I don't think we've ever seen this before. Maybe we have. Maybe somebody's seen it. I haven't, but I am talking with Herman and community development on a weekly basis. What can we do to clean this eyesore up? Because these residents don't deserve that. They just don't. And yes, Ms. Tate, we're trying to figure out what it is we can do to clean it up.
Anyone else? Does anyone feel like that any of the requirements or subdivision regs are not met? Something that we can discuss.
The only thing I got a question on is, I know controversies are not applicable to go forward. What about, the postal service, the delayed late notice, not in fault on the city, but a hardship created when we sent out notice of good intent, when we did it the day of this discussion. I feel like we need to talk about that.
Okay.
I know it's not violating any ordinance right now, but.
Well, and the question would be, is there going to be any discussion? Because again, what we're talking about here and voting on is simply well, not simply, but the preliminary plat. As legal said, unless there's a violation of some code or regulation, even if we were to table it or set it aside, in just a few days, it's going to go ahead.
Yeah, we can't table it.
Yeah.
All we can talk about is, is there grounds to consider?
And I think that's what Mr. Temple's asking. If they didn't get their notice in time, is that grounds?
No, sir.
Am I correct? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, the question would be, I don't know whether the developer is willing to let us have another 30 days or not.
Okay, well, I will ask that question.
It's up to them.
So he said no.
Because I don't, look, folks, I'm not your enemy. I don't control what they do. I mean, it's not up to the developer. No one wanted to see what happened either. Because we wanted to sell these lots that have not been sold yet also. So it's not on the developer. I'm just the attorney who's bought the land, developed the lots. I mean, it's beyond my control what they do or when they do it or how they build it. They just ran out of money, they stopped building.
But your answer is no.
No, because
okay, that's all I know. Okay.
That doesn't mean that we can't sit there and discuss with everybody going forward what the builder's going to do. I'd be happy to put you in contact with those folks. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. They just want to sell the lots.
Yeah, I understand, but we want to make sure that was what your position was. But if you could share with us some help on who to contact, that would be great.
Yeah, we're happy to. After this meeting, I don't care. It's not on me.
And let them know how the residents around this development feels about it.
They've seen the articles in the paper. They understand, I think.
Okay, no other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Well, wait a minute, before, I'm going to back up and just restate what we're doing. We're asked to verify that this preliminary plat meets requirements. And everything has shown that it meets the requirements. We have nothing to say that it doesn't meet the requirement. If we table it or don't or vote against it without any reason, it's going to take effect in 9 days, regardless. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that before we vote. And now will you call the roll, please?
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Wade.
Yes.
Wynn. Temple. Yes. Oh, Ross Terry. Yes. Still get the old name on it.
So you replaced Wynn with Terry?
Yeah.
Right, okay. All right, so that is a 7-0 pass. So I want to take a break. Some of you may want to leave right now, so we're going to recess for about 2 minutes to let the people that want to leave go. If you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. 6-0, I'm sorry. With our public hearing, now we're going to other business, consent agenda.
Not consent. Yeah, consent.
We only have one item in our consent agenda, so it's sort of different for a consent agenda, but we have one site plan.
Site plan 694-24. It is 2.29 acres. The current zone is R2 single family. The applicant is P. Wright McAnally, and the location is 604 Bedline Road. The request is to approve the site plan, and the proposed land use is institutional. One Decatur future land use is community commercial, and one Decatur street typology is Bedline Road is a principal arterial. There are no conditions to be met, and a point of information. Number one, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. Number two, coordinate with Gas Engineering Department when installing parking lot entrance from Russell Road Street Southwest. Number three, may require a relocation/retirement of the 607 Russell Street Southwest water meter. Number four, coordinate with Decatur Utilities when time to install the sewer service. And number five, contact Decatur Utilities if electric needs modifications.
Anyone from the public wish to speak to this request? I didn't think so. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Temple. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission?
Yeah, I just want clarification that what is really going on here is they're going to vacate and tear down the house at 607 Russell and turn it into an entrance and a parking lot to the church parking lot. Is that correct?
That's correct, right?
That's right. The church is growing, they need parking, so.
Okay, thank you.
Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Kay. Wayne.
Yes.
Ross. Yes. Temple.
All right, this is approved 6-0. Now we have other business, which we have vacations, a bond reduction, and a sidewalk cafe.
Next, we have vacation 554-24. It is .60 acres. The current zone is M2 General Industry. The applicant is Pre-Wright McAnally, and the location is Grove Street. And the request is to vacate Grove Street. The proposed land use is industrial, and one Decatur future land use is riverfront mixed use. One Decatur street typology is Grove is a local street. Conditions to be met. Number 1, there is an existing 4-inch steel gas main in this section, retained as a 20-foot easement, 10 foot from center line of pipe. Number 2, needs 10-foot easement around existing electric facilities and right-of-way. Number 3, the utilities would need to be located and be within an easement. Number 4, we'll need easements where storm pipes exist. And number 5, please reserve all Decatur utilities easements. A point of information, number 1, is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. Next, vacation 555-24. It is .60 acres, and the current zone is M2 General Industry. The applicant is Pre-Wright McAnally, and the location is Sycamore Street. And their request is to approve their vacation, and the proposed land use is commercial. One Decatur future land use is riverfront mixed use, and one Decatur street typology is Sycamore as a local street. Conditions to be met. Number 1, needs 10-foot easement for existing electric facilities and right-of-way. Number 2, the utilities would need to be located and be within an easement. Number 3, we'll need easements where storm pipe exists. Number 4, please reserve all Decatur utility easements. And number 5, please maintain the Reconnecting Communities bike trail. A point of information, number 1, is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. Next, we have a bond review for...
I'm sorry, we should have been voting on this.
Oh, yes, excuse me, correct.
So, anyone from the public wish to speak to either of these? Do we have a motion on vacation?
No, I have a...
Ken, I want to say something.
Okay.
Nathan Tomberlin, Pre-Wright McAnally, 310 8th Avenue, Decatur, Alabama, 35602. Now, I do want to say that, this wasn't just a armchair quarterback vacation. We did a lot of due diligence with this vacation. We have consulted with AECom, who is actually doing the bike path, and that's why we dedicated the ingress egress easement. So there's been a lot of thought into vacations, and it's actually to help serve a potential event center that's going to be out here at this beautiful venue that's going to overlook the river. So I just wanted to state that. So thank you.
That was my question. It is for the event center at the Sims, behind Burleson Hines House.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Both of these are.
Right, that's what I'm here.
Both of them.
Tell me.
Let's get a motion on the table
Okay.
first. We have a motion to approve, or to recommend vacation 55424. Motion to the council.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wade, second by Mr. Temple. Okay, now questions.
The one behind Golf Park, the one here on Grove Street, how is that benefiting the Burleson Hines, or is that just the bike trail you talked about?
No, it gives them access. They needed access to I'll answer this because I know the answer to it. If that's all right, or do you want to answer it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question, Ms. Taylor.
She wants to know
The property behind Golf Park, behind that fence there on Grove Street, that's the part we vacate, asked to vacate, right?
The part behind Grove Street.
On Grove Street.
On Grove Street, where they can come into to bring your food and all in.
North of Market Street.
Yes, ma'am, north of Market Street. Currently, I mean, it's used as a lay-down yard for Gobble Fight right now. It's fenced in, right. And it's that section that's currently fenced in is being vacated.
Right, but she's asking what does the McIntyre home development need it for, correct?
Okay, so there's a land purchase agreement that's in place between Gobble Fight and the Sims, and Gobble Fight actually owns. Let me walk you to the map. So Gobble Fight owns this property here as well. So this is Gobble Fight, this is Sims and Gobble Fight. So there's actually a land purchase agreement between the two owners that when this easement's vacated, there's going to be a sliver that's going to be, I guess, land traded per se. So there can be access in to the back to deliver food service for the event center, but instead of accessing through the area where we're going to have parking. So this will provide access here, and then there'll be another land swap here to where Gobble Fight will actually acquire some property where their current fence is. Because right now they do have a fence that's right off of the back of the curb. And Ms. State, you might be aware that's a 100-foot right of way right there. It's a very wide right of way. So there's a lot of area that Gobble Fight is currently using that's in that right of way. So there's going to be a swap to give that property back to Gobble Fight because, quite frankly, it will not serve this event center. We're more interested in utilizing this area for parking for the event.
But the fence, we discussed this earlier, but you said this property on Grove Street is behind Gobble Fight, but it's not really behind Gobble Fight, it's on the side.
It's on the side, yeah, more on the
It's behind their
side.
store, but they have a lay-down area back here.
Yeah, it's behind the store.
It's behind the store.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying to begin with, from Market back to what used to be Water Street,
Right.
it's never been vacated.
But Water Street is behind Gobble Fight.
Right.
Correct.
But Gobble Fight had a fence right up at Market Street.
Right.
Yeah, well, from that fence at Market Street back has never been vacated.
But it's still Gobble Fight, right?
Gobble Fight uses it. It's not
cities.
It's right.
The city.
Until we vacate.
Until we vacate it.
Okay, so you just let Gobble Fight use it, still the city.
Well, it's never been an issue. No, wait a minute, I'm going to explain what brought it up. It's never been an issue until the event center needed access through
Well,
there.
it's not an issue. When I went to look at it, I said, is this on Grove Street? How did Grove Street is disconnected from Market Street if Gobble Fight's already got a fixed off? So it's not an issue. I know it has, but I'm trying to figure where did this come in at?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's what brought this up is because the Sims needed access through there, through the property that Gobble Fight was using.
Okay, so we'll vacate all that for the Sims redevelopment. That's what we're asking.
And Gobble Fight, because really it needed to be vacated because they're currently using, I think, they've been using it for 100 years.
Yeah, but you're right. We're vacating it so that this development on the river will happen.
Yes.
That's what I want to do.
Correct. Yeah,
That's what I'm asking, and I don't have an issue with it.
I think we're all for that. Anything we can use on the river, we're all
I
for
don't
it.
have an issue with it, but I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't figure out, how is this not? Grove Street is already cut off.
Correct.
So,
Why we vacating it?
That's what I was trying to do.
I slipped in there and put up a fence on Saturday night.
Okay, so we're back to any other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that will be recommended 6-0 now. The next vacation that we discussed already, we have a motion on it.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Way, second by Mr. Tate. Any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Wade.
Yes.
Ross. Yes. Temple.
Okay, that will be recommended 6-0. Okay, now, bond review.
Next, we had the bond review for Windsor Place subdivision. The current zone is R2 single family and R5 patio homes, and the applicant is Literal Development. The location is west of McIntyre Lane, and their request is to release the letter of credit for 758 in the amount of $69,550, and letter of credit 755 in the amount of $45,009.65 for streets and sidewalks. And no conditions to be met, and the point of information is all relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Wade. I just want to know how $9.65 got in there.
It's just math.
And I asked him during work, but you're good with all this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please call the roll.
Barnes.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wade.
Yes.
Ross. Yes. Temple.
6-0. Okay.
Next, we have the Sidewalk Cafe for Chemist Cafe. The current zone is B5 Central Business District. The applicant is Danny Safaya. The location is 107 2nd Avenue Northeast, Suite A, and the request is to approve the Sidewalk Cafe. Proposed land use is commercial, and one indicated future land use is urban core downtown. One indicated street typology is 2nd Avenue Northeast is a collector urban, and conditions to be met. Number 1, need dimensions of table, chairs, etc. Number 2, need total dimensions of space tables. Number 3, 5-foot clearance to curb would need to be in the back, not the front. And number 4, final approval from development departments. A point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction.
Okay, do we have a motion to recommend?
Motion for approval?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Ms. Tate. Please call the roll.
Barnes.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate. Wade. Yes. Ross. Yes. Temple.
Yes. That is to be recommended with a 6-0 vote. There's no more business. Thank you, sir. In front of us, we are adjourned.